the moment. The chart for noon on July 20th in New Delhi instantly reveals a story of justice, people demanding it. As the march reached Parliament, the moon sat in Libra, the sign of the scales, rising on the eastern horizon. Libra rising meant this event was about fairness. Leaked exam papers, stolen opportunities, a broken system. Students wanted promised kept. The sun, representing the event's core, was in late Cancer, the sign of home and emotional security. This protest wasn't rejection. It was rooted in love of country, angered by broken promises between India and its youth. But the real story lies in the outer planets, slow-moving giants shaping generations, locked in an astonishingly precise alignment, every major aspect within minutes of exact. Jupiter stood at 4 degrees Leo, the sign of kings, governments, and self-proclaimed generosity. Directly opposite, at 4 degrees Aquarius, was Pluto, the planet of collective transformation, of power rising from the masses, of old structures being torn down. The gap was just 1/10 of a degree. Plainly put, the establishment and the people were face to face, unyielding. Modi's government projects a narrative of a rising, triumphant India, a Leo story, the king in glory. Pluto in Aquarius is the counter-narrative, the collective, the networked youth, dismissing old hierarchies. As thousands marched on Parliament, this exact opposition captured the protest's essence. Two more aspects peaked close to the march. On July 18th, 2 days before, Uranus, planet of awakening and disruption, patron of rebellion, formed an exact trine to Pluto from Gemini. Gemini is the sign of students, communication, social media. Uranus in Gemini signifies youth organizing through phones, sharing leaked papers, turning satire into a political movement. This smooth flow, a trine is a supportive aspect. Into Pluto in Aquarius meant this movement had genuine structural force. It wasn't just anger. It was anger with leverage. Consider the student who studied for 8 months, whose family paid coaching fees, who found leaked questions circulating on WhatsApp. They weren't just disappointed, they were robbed. Now they have a phone, a network, and a satirical party name, turning humiliation into a badge. On July 25th, 5 days after the march, Neptune sextiled Pluto, the planet of dreams and idealism, linking supportively to the planet of transformation. The vision of something better fueled the demand for change. The Cockroach Janta Party began as a joke, a satirical name for a generation called pests. Neptune sextile Pluto is when the joke becomes a dream, and the dream becomes a demand. The cyclic index, a measure of global tension, stood at 839.8 on a scale of 0 to 1800. Moderate and rising, it indicates this protest isn't isolated. The world is more reactive, and events can cascade. Indeed, that same week, protests erupted in Kyiv over defense leadership. Different grievance, different country, but the same global chord. Publics demanding accountability. The two nations' charts quietly mirror this. India's Chiron, the national wound, is in an exact square to Ukraine's Chiron. Different wounds, same ache. Leadership promising protection, then failing. This has been building for months. Outer planets shifted towards their July cluster. The exam leak scandal simmered. Youth unemployment data piled up. The Cockroach Janta Party gained online followers. The sky tightened like a guitar string, and on the day it snapped, the chord was Jupiter opposite Pluto, the king face to face with the crowd. What it touches. India was born at midnight, August 15th, 1947. Its founding chart carries a wound, or Chiron. Now, 3 heavy planets press on it simultaneously. A nation's Chiron represents a recurring structural vulnerability. For India, this wound lies in daily services, work routines, and systems ordinary people depend on. Exam leaks and youth unemployment aren't new. They recur, scarring the chart for decades. Transiting Jupiter, planet of expansion, authority, establishment, forms a tight square to that natal wound. A square is a 90-degree angle of friction. This means the government's narrative of growth aggravates the very hurt it claims to address. Every headline about India's GDP is salt in the wound for a graduate denied a fair exam. Pluto, deep structural transformation, squares the same wound from another angle. This pressure on the education-employment pipeline won't ease. It will intensify until fundamental change occurs. Pluto doesn't do surface fixes. Neptune, planet of dreams but also confusion, forms a quincunx to the wound, 150 degrees of misalignment. This shows the government not seeing the problem clearly or choosing not to. It's the gap between New India headlines and the coaching center town where a leaked paper means another lost year. But there's also a constructive note. Transiting Chiron makes a supportive sextile, a 60-degree opportunity angle to India's natal Mars, the planet of action. The wound connects to the nation's capacity to act. This suggests protest energy could move the needle, not just make noise. The anger has somewhere to go. The transiting sun sits exactly on India's natal moon, the public mood and emotional pulse. The event's identity highlights the nation's feelings. This is literally the people speaking. What about Modi's chart? Born September 17, 1950, Modi's chart is under a different pressure. The most precise transit is Lilith, the point of the marginalized, the suppressed, making exact squares to both his natal sun and Mercury. His sun is his core identity, his Mercury, his voice and narrative. Mundanely, the people he's ignored, the young, the jobless, are directly challenging who he claims to be and what he says is happening. His New India speech meets the student with a leaked exam. Lilith exposes what you've been avoiding. There's a karmic crossroads. The true node, representing growth and destiny, sits on Modi's natal Jupiter, planet of authority. It's a summons to rise, to be a greater leader. But directly opposite, the south node, past patterns, pulls toward the old playbook. Strongman response, narrative control. Modi is at a table where growth means listening, but instinct screams to shut it down. The synastry, cross-chart comparison between India and Modi confirms the tension. India's Jupiter, the nation's faith, justice, and desire for growth, sits in an exact square to Modi's Pluto, his planet of power and control. The country wants expansion and fairness. He wants transformation on his terms. When aligned, he's unstoppable. When not, when the nation's demand for justice points against his power, you get a moment like this. The Vitality Lens, a collective read of the nation's energetic climate, adds texture. India's collective element balance is fire dominant right now. Fire burns bright. Anger is real, but fire without earth to hold it burns out. Earth is least resourced this season. Practicalities slip, governance feels wobbly. The protest has energy, the question is its staying power. The sixth house in India's chart of daily services, systems people rely on, has Libra on the cusp. Justice, balance. Jupiter now sits there, amplifying everything it touches. The demand for justice in daily services, fair exams, fair jobs, is being amplified. This is the Cockroach Janta Party's core message, and the chart says this amplification isn't done. If you're a parent in Kota, where families mortgage everything for an engineering or medical seat, this is the season your kid reports a leaked paper. If you're a Delhi commuter, this is the week your bus route changes. The sky doesn't cause these things, but it describes the pressure that produces them. How it rolls forward. The key development to watch is the total solar eclipse on August 12, 2026, at 20 degrees Leo. Eclipses are watershed moments. They dim what they touch, resetting the landscape. A solar eclipse is a new beginning through an ending. This one falls in Leo, the sign of the king, the leader, the government. 3 weeks after a mass protest demands accountability from the Prime Minister, the sky stages a total eclipse of the sun in the sign of kingship. This doesn't mean Modi falls. Eclipse challenge, they don't dictate outcomes. But pressure on his leadership intensifies. The eclipse is an inescapable spotlight. Whatever his response to the Cockroach Janta Party, concession, crackdown, dismissal, silence, that response will be tested through autumn. The partial lunar eclipse on August 28th at 4 degrees Pisces adds an emotional crest. Lunar eclipses are about culmination, feelings peaking. Pisces is the collective unconscious, dissolving boundaries. This could be when the protest's emotional wave peaks. Does it solidify into a durable movement or disperse into vague frustration? Watch the week of August 28th for a turning point at Janta Manta. Then, on August 31st, Jupiter trines Saturn. Jupiter expands, Saturn restricts. A trine signifies flowing negotiation between growth and limits, a deal, a stabilization. Ideally, the government offers something concrete, a resignation, reform, jobs commitment, accepted as a first step. In a less hopeful scenario, it's managing optics without substance. Either way, late August reveals the aftermath's shape. The market mood, tracked by the Bradley siderograph, a suggestive pattern, not a price prediction, is falling through this entire window from 6.69 at the event toward 3.49 by mid-September. That's a tightening mood, not a crash. But in a country where youth unemployment fuels protest, a softening economic mood sharpens grievances. Through September, Neptune and Pluto maintain their supportive sextile. The dream continues to feed transformation. The generational aspect powering this protest, Uranus in Gemini trine Pluto in Aquarius, holds through autumn. The structural force behind the movement doesn't dissipate. It's embedded in the generation itself. These young people will be voting, organizing, disrupting for years. The fire-dominant vitality suggests a risk, burnout. The passion of a July march isn't the same as a September strategy meeting. Hot movements need to build earth, structures, funding, discipline, or they exhaust themselves. The chart shows energy but also thin practical grounding. Both are true. Summary: the July 20th Cockroach Janta Party protest is an astrological watershed, a generational uprising, with Uranus in Gemini trine Pluto in Aquarius, meeting the establishment head-on, as Jupiter in Leo opposes Pluto in Aquarius, on the exact day these forces peak. A total solar eclipse in the sign of kingship arrives 3 weeks later. Watch for Modi's response to sharpen or soften around August 12th, as the total solar eclipse at 20 degrees Leo tests leadership in the sign of Kings. Watch for the protest to reach an emotional peak or turning point near August 28th, when the partial lunar eclipse in Pisces brings culmination, governing dissolution and reformation. Watch for a government concession or settlement signal around August 31st, since Jupiter trine Saturn favors deals. Watch for the education minister's position to become untenable as summer wears on, because transiting Lilith squaring Modi's natal Sun and Mercury means the marginalized directly challenge his identity, and a head must answer for exam leaks. Watch for youth unemployment figures and market mood data through September, as the Bradley siderograph signals tightening sentiment fueling the fire. And watch for the movement to either build durable structures or show signs of burnout by autumn, where India's fire-dominant vitality plays out against a Uranus-Pluto trine that will impact this generation for years. The heavens describe a nation whose young have found their voice precisely when old authority is most exposed, and an eclipse in the sign of Kings signals that the test is not over. Recent history and where this is heading. What looks like a local clash in Delhi belongs to a much larger weather system. The same slow planetary patterns coloring India's generational revolt are pressing on Ukraine's war of attrition, and on dozens of stories that seem to share nothing but a news cycle. The anchor is Saturn conjunct Neptune at 0 degrees Aries, a rare meeting of contraction and dissolution at the zodiac's very first degree. In plain terms, old structures crumble while new ones struggle to be born. For India's young marchers, that reads as blocked opportunity colliding with rising idealism. For Ukraine, it's the grinding question of what survives and what must be rebuilt from scratch. Threading these together is Uranus trine Pluto, a once-in-a-generation alignment that tends to accompany revolutionary waves and deep institutional upheaval wherever pressure has been building longest. Looking ahead, the total solar eclipse in Leo on August 12th tends to place authority itself under a harsh light, while the partial lunar eclipse in Pisces on August 28th carries collective feeling to a crest, the moment a movement either solidifies or scatters. The same sky-testing Modi's grip presses on every leader holding an old order together while the ground shifts. Before you go, if this has landed close to home, maybe you're a student whose paper was leaked, or a parent who's watched a child's year vanish, or simply someone who feels the ground shifting under the country you love. I want you to sit with that for a moment. What the sky describes here isn't finished, and neither is what you're carrying. If you're trying to find your own footing inside a moment this large, the annual transit forecast at Via Staro might be genuinely useful. It walks you through the year ahead, the key dates, the monthly themes, the slower planetary shifts, so you can see where the pressure points fall in your own life, not just the headlines. When the world feels this reactive, a personal timeline can quiet something in you. And if you're weighing what to do next, speak up or stay quiet, organize or step back, hope or protect yourself, there's a tarot standard reading with a spread called Decision 2 Paths that suits this moment well. 7 cards, laying out the development, challenge, and outcome for each road you're considering. It won't decide for you, but it might help you see both clearly enough to know which one is yours. Both readings are available at Via Staro whenever you're ready, no rush. The sky doesn't hurry, and neither should you. A word from the channel. If anything here landed with you, a like and a subscribe genuinely helps a small channel like ours find its feet. And do leave a comment. Tell me what stories you'd like us to sit with next. Now, let's pull the cards and see what they make of it. Picking up the thread again so soon. Earlier today we were tracing the Cockroach Janta party march through Delhi's sky, and now the cards want to add their own voice. Mercury turned direct on July 23rd, so the leaked paper noise is shifting from confusion toward clarity. Neptune and Pluto are still retrograde, keeping the dream and the power struggle under review. 3 parties, 1 web. India, Modi, Ukraine. Let's lay them down and see where the current flows and where it knots. 1. India, the Empress. India is the Empress, Venus in full bloom, a fertile, swelling land that wants to feed her young. With the July 20th chart's Libra rising and transiting Sun on India's natal moon, the public mood is maternal, possessive, and demanding fairness. She sits opposite Ukraine's Ace of Wands and faces Modi's Sun. 2. Modi the Sun. Modi is the Sun, Leo's king, radiant certainty, the new India story blazing. But the August 12th total solar eclipse in Leo is a direct dimming of this very light authority exposed. The Ace of Pentacles at his side offers a practical olive branch, while the 8 of Swords warns he feels trapped. 3. Ukraine, the Ace of Wands. Ukraine is the Ace of Wands. Aries fire, a spark struck from calamity, the beginning that costs everything. Saturn and Neptune meeting at 0 degrees Aries says old structures dissolve before new ones stand. It faces India's Emperor reversed and Modi's 8 of Swords, 3 leaders all struggling to control the flame. 4. India and Modi, the Ace of Pentacles. The current between India and Modi is the Ace of Pentacles. Venus ruled Earth, gold, a real offer on the table. This is the Jupiter trine Saturn window of late August, a deal, a resignation, a job's pledge. But it must be concrete, not a Leo headline, or the Empress and the Sun stay divided. 5. Modi and Ukraine, the 8 of Swords. Modi and Ukraine share the 8 of Swords. Jupiter in Gemini, news that binds, scandal that narrows the room. It echoes the Gemini-Uranus trine Pluto, information moving fast, options closing. The Sun wants to ride free, while the Ace of Wands keeps striking. both leaders are boxed by stories they can't control. 6. India and Ukraine, the Emperor reversed. India and Ukraine meet at the Emperor reversed. Mars-ruled Aries authority turned upside down. Their natal Chirons square each other. Different scars, same ache. The Empress wants to nurture, while the Ace of Wands wants to begin again. Neither trusts the old king anymore. 7. The heart of the web, the King of Cups. The web's heart is the King of Cups, Water's throne and Scorpio's hidden depths. Masked intent, the public mood leaders misread. With Neptune and Pluto both retrograde, and the Pisces lunar eclipse of August 28th, emotion peaks beneath the noise. He warns, don't trust a smiling hand that secretly holds the knife. 8. Where the web turns, the Four of Pentacles reversed. Where the web turns, the Four of Pentacles reversed. Sun in Capricorn shows the grip loosens. The old order can't hold. Jupiter opposite Pluto cracked the foundation, while Saturn and Neptune at 0 degrees Aries dissolve what remains. The King of Cups' hidden hand makes the release messy, delay, then the end of pretending. Summary. The spread reveals a delicate web of power and emotion, where the radiant certainty of the sun meets the fierce, destructive spark of the Ace of Wands, all under the nurturing but demanding gaze of the Empress. While a concrete offer tries to stabilize the table, hidden depths and loosening grips suggest that old structures must fall away before a new, honest order can finally begin. A word from the channel. Thank you so much for staying with me through this whole journey. If anything here resonated with you, a like and a subscribe would genuinely help this young channel find its feet and reach more people. I truly love to hear your thoughts in the comments as well, what you'd like covered next, and how I can bring you something even better, because your feedback really does shape what comes next. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye for now.